Penman with me here. I've just been talking a little bit, catching up. The pika is now part of Lee's life, which is a bird. And what's the species
Yes.
pika again?
An opaline black-capped conure,
Very good.
and I believe it's a something beginning with a V version of the deviation or whatever the word is. Is it? It's the I can't remember what it's like. It's not Velcro, but it's something like that. Vrooms or something variation of the species, because it's rare for them to have that coloring, and because he's got the yellow, well, she has the yellow and the white and the Ruth Bader Ginsburg color.
That's wonderful. This is a new bird that Lee has gotten here.
Towards the end, I will turn the camera on her so that everybody can see her. But if I do it now, I'll have to readjust everything. So,
well,
and
whenever
we know how long that takes.
Catherine Hill has actually asked if we are going to see Pico, but it's Pika because
You can now, Catherine. Yeah.
So let's go ahead and show Pika. Let's put Pika on camera. Come on.
You want to take the chance of losing me?
Yeah, well,
Move this camera.
Bring it around.
Okay, I'm moving the camera, people.
You can bring it back.
And it's got our back to us there. Hold on, I can see what you're doing. It's just, I can see something moving in the background there.
Yeah,
where are you going? I think she's going to the. Is she going to the?
Yeah, she's up top. She's underneath the ceiling fan. I can see her there.
It's the food is taking precedence right now.
Very good. Well,
so we'll try again later when we got her more in focus, because I can't zoom in, unfortunately. But I would have to take the camera with me. But anyways,
and let's get back to and we're going to talk a little bit about this and that. We're going to He is the rambling raconteur. I hope that you all know that. Catherine Hill has said that it was silly. She was already used to her name, so I don't know, man. Pika.
Well, Colette said that because I was actually going to rename her Mariah because of the high-pitched squeal that she has. The whistle would have every dog in the neighborhood at the door. It's I can't even do it, but it's so high-pitched. It's like, I tell you what it's like. It's like a smoke alarm.
Oh,
that beep. That's what it's like. And so I thought, I said to Colette, I said, now we know it's a female. Should I call her Mariah? She goes, no, Pika. Apparently that's the female version of Pico. Who knew there was even,
Makes sense to me.
So.
And it's also a font, as we were talking about.
I was going to keep Pico myself, but I don't know. The verdict's still out.
Well, it's lovely to
anyway, that all over with. Caged Birds Society closing for the day.
It's lovely to have so many people joining us today. We didn't have this number for the intrepid editor.
That was a good. I caught that one. I was on it before you noticed me on it. I was on it on my phone. I took you to the store with me to go shopping. Well, and talking of store, how was your job? And you just started a new job yesterday.
I decided I was
getting back to the workforce.
Yeah, I can't make enough on Substack to keep it going. Unfortunately, without getting a day job and earning a paycheck. But I'm just taking a position with Daily Provisions. It's a Danny Myers Union Square Hospitality Group cafe that's just opened in D.C. last August. I've been frequenting it since it opened, and I, liked the vibe very much. And I thought, hey, I'd love to be a part of the staff here. So I went ahead and tried it. And eventually they got back to me. It took about a month before they decided to move on that. And I thought I didn't have a chance because, for one thing, I'm graying around the temples. But that wasn't the barrier.
We're the same age.
Do the work that, it is hectic on a weekend when the weather is nice, spring just sprung, and people are out. And we were doing a lot of business on Saturday, which was my first day. And then I had to do some paperwork in the back. So I was like, I can sit down for a little while. That took about an hour or so. And then I was done. But today I was just 7 hours straight. And we were talking about that a little bit before everyone got on here and we got on. No break, just 7 hours straight going. And it was slow in the first hour or so from 6:30 a.m. and we got our first customer in at 7:00. An old friend of mine, actually, it was a customer, and then another friend of mine came in. So I know a lot of the people in the neighborhood, and then there's a lot I don't know, but getting to know them. And we had a lot of first timers coming through as well to get their stuff. And we had at least one person who it didn't arrive quick enough for them and they wanted their money back. So that only happened one person out of thousands.
When you're dealing with the public, you always get that.
We have a market, like a farmer's market at DuPont Circle here in DC on Sundays. So there's a lot of people out for that. And of course, just docking in for a quick egg sandwich and coffee or whatever is great. And we have a lot of other things on the menu as well. Danny Myers has this thing he calls enlightened hospitality, in which the customers first, or rather the employees are first, the customers second. And it goes on like that. And that's kind of gets an interesting dynamic because the customers, whether the employees are taking care of each other and looking after each other, all while things are going on. So it's a very well-oiled machine. Maybe a lot of restaurants work that way in cafes and such. I don't know because I've never done this kind of work before.
Yeah.
But I thought if I want to get in shape and keep healthy, I thought I ought to get something like this. It'll get me out among people, get me moving. Yeah. And I was moving constantly, right?
Yeah.
Tables, bringing the food out, doing a little bit of barista stuff
like that.
Learning barista stuff. Because that machine is not,
it's harder than people think.
Very delicate, to get the grind right. So you're getting exactly 24 to 30 seconds through the grounds to make the shot. If it's more than 30, that's bad. They'll make it too bitter. If it's less than that, it's not going to be strong enough, and you have to dump it. So that was tricky stuff. And I only broke one thing each day.
That's good. I hope they're not taking it out of your wages.
No, I don't think so. I'm not actually in the system yet, and that's going to happen on Monday because, of course, the people weren't there on Saturday when I started. All the paperwork and stuff.
For some reason, I thought it was a supermarket type place, and the name sounds like
a provisions store. The name, yeah, and it's actually like getting your provisions of your coffee or your chicken. They also do a whole roast chicken or a half roast chicken, and sides to go with that.
So you're taking the food to the tables? Is that what you're doing?
Doing a lot of that, yeah. When it's busy.
Do you have to remember things? Are you taking orders or just taking the food to the tables?
Well, I haven't started taking the orders yet because I haven't learned the little system yet. But hopefully, I'll be doing the host station sooner or later, as well as the barista station.
That kind of stuff scares me. I'll tell you, I had a story from when I first came over to New York, and before I was living here, when I was still going back and forth to the UK. This was about early 1990s, something like that. I lived on Christopher Street in the West Village at the time, and I decided I was going to get some work in a local bar, which was a bar restaurant. It was quite famous at the time in the West Village, Ruby Fruit. It's closed long ago, but it was named after the book by somebody called Ruby Fruit Jungle. And it was a lesbian bar, by the way. That's why it was called that. It was a lesbian novel, I think. So anyways, I thought I would give it a shot as a busboy, And so before we even opened for the evening, I had to set all the tables. And Debbie, the owner at the time, was looking at me going, I have never met anyone in my entire life who cannot set a table. Because I didn't know where all these knives and forks, and where does this one go? Does this one go? I'm used to a knife and a fork, and maybe a spoon at the top.
Right.
When I was growing up as a kid, that was setting the table. Not all these additional forks and spoons and napkins, and she had to take over. And that was exhausting. Well, I did a brunch once, and I was dead. I was like, I can't do this. So I never went back. I went back as a patron, but that was it. I didn't have it. It amazed me how the stamina these people need.
That's it, right?
On your feet all the time, running around.
Yeah, I'm 63 now, and it is, a challenge.
Yeah, but I'm no slouch. I was having a hard time, The great bodybuilder was having a hard time doing that. I used to tell people I was a bodybuilder back then. I think I weighed 100 pounds, if that, It was like, whose body are you building exactly?
Yeah, I didn't want to take anything very serious. I have been an enterprise architect in the past, doing contract work for the federal government, and I'm not interested in working for this federal government at this point. Yeah. I don't know. How do you feel about the world at large, Lee?
There's not a lot I can say. Let's just put it like that. Because of my position, there's not a lot I can say.
Right.
Not a lot I want recorded. I wish I could. If I could, I would. But unfortunately, I have to protect myself.
Well, exactly. We all have to protect ourselves, I think. That's
I mean, being trans is bad enough just now. You know what I mean? Paralyzed anything else,
Yeah.
It's it's something they're trying to get rid of altogether, wipe trans people off the face of the earth. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's horrific. And,
I'm saying it's like some kind of just choice, which it's not. Trust me, I would have chosen a better way,
An easier way.
Yeah. An easier way. Yeah. It would not have been my choice to, let's be born female and transition to male at like 45 years old.
Were you 45? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was 45 when I transitioned. Well, closer to 50, really, when I officially transitioned. I think it was like 48, 49.
That's amazing. And
so I'd lived half of my life as a female. So I have the benefit of knowing how females are treated in society. You know what I mean? It's like there's not many guys that can talk to a woman and say, "Oh, yeah, periods are terrible."
Well, this is a huge issue for me. Menopause is terrible, right?
But then guys get andropause. Now I don't know what I was lucky. I never had any symptoms of menopause when I was female. None. I guess because my hormones were already kind of out of whack, because I'd been taking testosterone on and off as a bodybuilder.
I see.
So for me, it was an easy transition, really, because I'd already been dabbling, you know what I mean, since I was in my 20s,
Well, that brings us to the practice, right, Colette?
Yeah.
And the practice does deal with hormone therapy. To help.
We have a surprising amount of males in hormone therapy. I would say it's equal, male to female.
Sure. A lot of males. Right. I think I probably am low T.
Most males don't know their testosterone is low.
I actually shared with you my work. I think I don't remember what it was.
But there was no hormone panel on it.
There was no hormone panel on it.
To be revealed.
I'm going to have to go back to my doctor.
Yeah, that was a basic. I think it was a basic CBC and CMP metabolic panel.
Yeah,
and I think you had your cholesterol lipid panel in there too.
Yeah, you would have called me diabetic at the level I was, but
you're borderline pre-diabetes. Yeah. Colette would call you like untreatable at this point, because they usually don't initiate treatment early enough, and then the beta cell is completely dead, and then you have to go in with insulin. If you go in earlier, you can preserve the beta cell, which is incidental. For anybody that doesn't know, the beta cell is what produces insulin. And so it basically just, I got diabetes later in life, and we still don't know is it type 1 or type 2, because I have autoimmune disease in my mother's side of the family. So I don't know, was it because type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disorder. Type 2 diabetes is more diet and lifestyle. To a certain degree, hereditary too. But I don't know. But I think when I was in the bodybuilding phase, I was having all these mass gain drinks because I went from an anorexic teenager to somebody trying to put on weight and feeling miserable as an adult. And it was almost like the irony of it all. You know what I mean? I spent half my life not eating. And now that I am eating, I'm still not gaining weight. I wasted my time. You know what I mean? I weigh more now than I have done in my entire life. It's very hard for me to gain weight, But I was pushing all these mass gainers, and they're basically just the amount of carbs in those is shocking. It's like the one I was using was about 200 odd grams of carbohydrate, 250, I think, per serving. 250 grams of carbs to 25 of protein. You know what I mean? Wow. So that's because they're weight gainers, so they're basically sugar. There's dextrose.
And the sugar just goes into fat to store it, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I lost you. I don't know. Was it
lost me?
Yeah. That's okay. It was maybe my screen timed out. That was weird. But it's just like I got bored. It says, okay,
I've been chatting back to Catherine there a little bit.
Yeah.
What's fascinating to me is the work that Colette is doing with you, and that is not in sync necessarily with what the mainstream doctors would be doing for us.
No.
But she's seeing past that. And I think that's really fascinating.
Plus, we put patient care, well, at least she does, because she's the one seeing the patients and dealing with all their issues.
Right.
Patient care is our priority. I mean, how many times have you gone to a doctor and your initial consult was an hour long? You know what I mean?
Never.
And follow-up's 30 minutes.
No. 15, 20 minutes is about the
maximum. Yeah, because they want to see more people, so they make more money.
Well, it's not just they want to see more people. Aren't they limited by the insurance companies about how much time they can spend with their patients?
Well, they're not limited by the insurance companies in any way other than the more people they see, the more money they get.
Gotcha.
That's the limitation. And also what people don't realize is, what we're starting to realize is, you don't see the money for the insurance companies mostly for a couple of months after you've seen the patient. So we're at the stage in the practice right now where we don't know how much money we're really making, because it's coming in piecemeal. We'll get a couple of checks, right? A couple of checks. But we also have self-pay patients as well. Sure. And I guess the aim is to make the practice more self-pay, you know? But we can't just leave the other people. It's a hard decision, you know? It's like, are you in it to make money, or are you in it to treat people? You know, it's like, and you can't really do both. You know, you can't give proper patient care and make tons of money. I remember Colette sent me something where was this doctor saying you have 3 choices in medicine, and unfortunately I can't remember them, but I know the gist of it was you either make a lot of money and have no family life and see multiple patients, or you make less money, have a family life. And, you know, and it's a choice. You either have a life or you don't have a life. You either have money or you don't have money, and that's, you choose, you know?
Yeah.
Because you can't make a lot of money and have a life. I mean, we're 12-hour days. I remember I've talked to you. This is why it's taken me so long to get back on again. It's like,
yeah.
What day was it? Friday. I started at 7 in the morning and finished at 8 at night. You know, because the thing is, I'm trying to do something, and then a patient will text or call. Somebody will want to reschedule. Somebody will want Colette to do them a refill and a med. Somebody will want a new patient will want to book. And then I'll have to deal with that and then go back to what I was doing. As soon as I start doing that again, you know, so we actually have a meeting with Origin on Substack this week to try and find out about how we could make AI make our practice more efficient. Because it is only the 2 of us doing everything.
Yeah. She's starting to do a lot more consultation. She has contracted shingles, sadly. I don't know. A violation to mention that, but we did not have our last 2 sessions on Friday. Yeah. We usually do.
No, I noticed that she hasn't been doing her usual Sunday. Yeah. So
I want to check in and see if she's up to it. She thinks she'll be up to it by next week to come back on.
Yeah. We made the booking last week.
Okay, well, maybe she'll be up for it. I hope.
Yeah.
It's a terrible we'll have to get.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's stress related, I think, that it happens to
me.
Of course, she's starting
whether to get the shingles shot. But then I find out how much it is. And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to pay $500 for this.
Really?
Because I don't have any insurance. Yeah.
Well, luckily I had insurance with my wife, and I'd got my double shots, you know.
Yeah.
And then you get a second one. And I hope never to have shingles as a result. But fingers.
Yeah, I know. So do I. I hope it's worth it.
At it, and it was very painful. And I just.
Yeah, I heard that. That was another thing that made me think twice.
Yeah.
It's like, why am I paying $500 to suffer?
Just the whole idea of chronic pain of any sort. I think we're really geared towards trying to avoid pain at all costs. I'm not certain that's actually realistic. I think that there's an old philosopher I like very much who said, bury your pain with pleasure, and then you're guaranteed lots of pleasure.
That's almost perverted.
Huh?
That's almost perverted.
Almost? think
it's like sadomasochism. Who said this? Do not mark over that person's head.
Pasni Maharaj said
sounds like sadomasochism to me.
I think actually I might have said it in the
True Confessions.
Originally said it. He had this thing called "Be as it may," which accept whatever comes to you as it is, and accept it with gratitude, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And he did.
Yeah,
he was a pharmacist actually in his early career, and he left that. He got spiritually enlightened through Sai Baba of Shirdi, who died in 1918. And Upasani Maharaj, he passed away about 1941, if I remember right. But he was the guru for Meher Baba, who I follow a lot. Yeah. If anybody watches anything I put on notes, they know I quite often will be trumpeting Baba's stuff. And I'm not really sure, I'm kind of a skeptic, like I was talking. But I really got connected to that through the director of religious life at my undergraduate college, Randolph-Macon College, who was part of Meher Baba's inner circle as a child. And so he knew a lot about him, and he told us a lot about him. And I was like, oh, that's very interesting. And then Pete Townshend's really into him.
Yeah.
So all of the Who's music basically is tainted by that thread. And of course, there's the old Bobby McFerrin song, Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's really Meher Baba's message. And it's along the lines of what Upasani Maharaj is saying, is bear your pleasure. And don't worry, be happy. Be happy for whatever comes to you, because you're alive. And there's nothing like pain to remind you you're alive.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. That's
But our society is so pain averse. I think that's what I'm getting at here. I'm saying that.
Well, I have a very low pain threshold, so.
Well, me too.
I'm the worst patient for Botox. When Colette's I get Botox, by the way, I'm going to admit it because it's free.
No,
I figured, why not? The universe owes me 10 years, right?
That's right.
I get minimal. I just get I need to get it redone, actually. She was saying I get the 11 lines, I used to have really deep, actually I had about 4 of them in the morning, like 11 lines, which are right here, but you see there's not anything there,
You blew it up.
So I had deep. There's a picture of me with Patti Smith, actually, and I look older than she does. I'd taken a couple of years ago. The lines are so deep. She has not a line, and I'm like Methuselah next to her, So I'm always saying, can I get another picture? Because this one is really bad. But so but it's so painful, though. Oh my Lord.
Is it?
To me, anyway. She's always saying, Lee, because she can't do a video with me because I'm going.
He's flinching around.
I said, is it over yet? She goes, Lee, it's nothing. But then when they do the 11 lines, it's a filler. And they use a cannula needle to put the hyaluronic acid in there. So that is, just imagine they're using a cannula needle.
Yeah, I got you.
Going in and up with the needle. And then the scary one for me, I refuse to be a model, is threads. Because, by the way, we do aesthetics in our practice too, just so you know. And threads are big right now, but it involves, the needles are this long. This long. I'm not even joking. They're about 3 to 4 inch needles.
What are threads?
And they go here, all the way up your jawline. They're inserted, and they go all the way up, and they take a thread with them. So the thread, it's almost like a facelift, because the thread lifts.
It pulls up.
Oh my God, I would never do that. Yeah, you need threads.
I have to pull this all up here. Huh?
Yeah. So it literally, and it's the same stuff as they put in the self-dissolving stitches. When you get stitches and they're the self-dissolving ones, so over time they will naturally dissolve, and then you'll have to get it done again.
Interesting.
But no, I'm not going that far. I remember there's a friend of ours. She's actually in few TV shows. She's in the series. No, I better not say, because then it'll be if she gets stuff done. No, I didn't say anything. But she's quite a well-known TV personality, and And I was saying to her, she was getting threads from Colette, and she said, "Are you going to get them?" And I said, "No. I said, "I'll just grow a neck beard."
Yeah, there you go.
You won't see anything.
I can't really grow much on here, so I just keep it trimmed like that.
Yeah.
By the way, we got a request here, and there
Yes.
goes my little screensaver thing. Here we go. From is Colette a medical professional? And you did say yes, Catherine.
Yeah.
But let's give her the details. She is.
Oh my God! I have an old jacket of hers from when she was in the practice, and then you can see the medical professional, all the titles.
Maybe you could put your practice stuff in the chat too.
It's one of these jackets.
I got
it. It's one of these jackets. Hold on. Here we go. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Is that showing the right way around? Or is it back to front?
Yeah, it looks right. Yeah, MSRD RN, registered nurse, SDCES. And what's those last ones? I can't quite make them out. AAP.
MSRD RN CDCES AAFE. That's for aesthetics, Academy of Aesthetics, and FNPC.
Yeah, actually, she's
added peptide therapy and testosteronology to that. Oh, and she's now a qualified menopause specialist as well, one of the few in the country.
Well, that's the part I'm interested in, not for myself, of course, but my wife, who suffers from flashes like every damn morning. My heart breaks.
No, she's one of the few certified menopause specialists in the country.
And by the way, I just threw in the Wikipedia article on Colette. I didn't even
realize. Oh no, that's horribly wrong. By the way, that's the worst thing you could. I think that had her married and it got her date of birth wrong or something.
Oh really? Well, you got to edit that.
I think that said she married Dave Palumbo there, and she never did.
Oh well, sorry about that.
I just remember that Wikipedia. It's like most people on Wikipedia, though, that I know. I think even Patty said that, there's things on there that are so wrong, And I mean, it just gets people, unless people edit them, and But I guess it's good to have a Wikipedia page. Not many of it's something to boast about having a Wikipedia page.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't have one on me yet. I've thought about writing one.
No, I don't have one.
I don't need it. Personally, I'm not interested in me.
No, I don't think people care about that anymore.
I'm interested in you. I'm not interested in me. Hear more about
I wrote something down that I saw on Instagram today that I thought would be something to cover.
Please.
It was this woman. She does these videos that are just like motivational, I guess you would call them, but it's more like positive reinforcement and stuff. And the one that she put up today was, are you antisocial or just choosy? It's like when you're like, don't go to the meetings with people, or don't go to dinners with people, or, turn down invitations, you're considered like a party pooper or something. But the whole gist of the little slip that she did was, are you being a party pooper, or are you just being choosy about how you give your time and energy?
Yeah.
Do you want to be beside people that are fake or that drain you? Or would you choose to do something different? I mean, I used to have the hardest time saying no to invites, because I don't know. I always feel uncomfortable in social situations. I can pull them off. I'm an actor. I can pull them off. You know what I mean? But I don't enjoy them. And that's why my book, which is hopefully coming out this year sometime, the memoir, is called Misfit. Because the beginning of that book, I actually say, have you ever been in a room full of people that felt like you were in a bubble, unseen by, and you can't contribute anything. You feel like you're in the room, but nobody's paying attention to you, or you don't have anything to contribute, and you just feel like, I wish I was home right now. You know what I mean? And I said, I'm sure it's happened to you more than once in your life.
Yep.
But for me, it's been my entire life. Because it's the strange thing with me. I mean, going back to, I really don't want to make a big thing of the trans thing, but I seem to be doing it today. But I never usually do. But I was socialized as a female.
Yeah.
And yet, in a room full of females, I don't know what to talk about. And then the same thing, I wasn't socialized as a male, and I hate to, I hate to like categorize each group of people by talking for like in a group of females, they talk about this, and in a group of males, they talk about this. But so I'm not going to do that, but I'm just going to say there is a difference. You know what I mean? And I can't contribute to either of them.
Yeah.
Because I never identified with the female idiom of what they discuss when they're all together, you know? I can't go, oh, he's hot, you know what I mean? Or, oh, have you tried the new, whatever, And likewise, in a group of males, I have no interest in football or baseball or, you know what I mean?
Well, I don't either. So you're in the same
or
boat.
Whatever males discuss when they're, you know what I mean? It's like I can't contribute. I find myself in male company acting like a female sometimes. I find myself behaving like, not flirting, but what one would consider flirting, because that's my only language. But I'm not like flirting. But what I'm saying, I don't know how to describe it, but I feel like I'm acting like a female in a bunch of males, because I don't have the roadmap for how to talk to males. Just like I don't have the roadmap to talk to females. So where does that leave me,
Somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle, feeling a misfit.
Or on the outside.
Yeah.
Watching the passing show.
Yeah, which is, yeah.
But it's got to the point where I don't understand any of this stuff. And I'm thinking society and social, what most people are.
Yeah.
The light side of things. I go dark real fast,
Yeah.
Bear your pain with pleasure, then you'll have lots of pleasure.
Yeah.
Type of answer to people when they ask me, how you doing, Hal? I say, I'm still breathing. I keep breathing. I'll maintain homeostasis. I could also throw that in there. I'm maintaining homeostasis. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah. Unless you know me really well, you don't know what's going on in my life. With me, I like to paint the perfect picture. I have a wonderful life. Nothing ever goes wrong.
You have a good gig supporting Colette.
Yeah.
Catherine says it's not her thing, but we do go other places, and just talking about that, that's interesting. Fine. And what the hell was I saying? I knew what I was saying.
That was unexpected.
Because I got distracted by that. Sorry, guys, not my thing. Well, okay. But
I'll remember that, Catherine.
I'm really interested in everybody and everything that comes in my alleyway. Like, I don't know if you've seen the Everyday Junglist jams that we've done before with this guy.
Yeah, I think I have. Yeah. Yeah.
A molecular biologist, special that attack bacteria. And that had like necrotizing pancreatitis that he survived, which most people do not. He claims died 2 times, and now he's back.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, wow, when people die or when people go through huge transitions like you've done between 45 and 50, it's fascinating to me because we're all just so close to checking out of this game we're in.
Yeah, or settling for what we have. At a certain point in your life, you might just settle for, I could have just said, well, this is my life. I've lived half of it now. Why rock the boat? You know what I mean?
Right.
Why, you know what I mean? I lived in the zone of being neither. So I could just have carried on living in the zone of being neither. But I just decided, you're
going to go all in.
It was actually Colette that was the one that put me in that position, because I remember I was really nervous. I've known her for maybe a year or so, and I remember we were walking at the time she lived in Long Island, and I was taking her either from the train station into the city or back, and I said, look, there's something I've been meaning to tell you. And I said, because you remember, I was in a world of bodybuilders, so the fact that I had a deeper voice didn't register as anything weird. You know what I mean? Because most of the female bodybuilders had deeper voices than me, because of the hormones, so it didn't really register with her that there was anything different. And I said, when I was 28, I went to a guy in Charing Cross in London, and was diagnosed as having gender dysphoria. And I started taking testosterone on his prescription. And I said, but, living where I was at the time, I just didn't think it was, it wasn't trendy as it is now, It wasn't known. It wasn't something you saw on the news or people discussed. So I said, I was worried about what people would think. So once my voice started dropping, so I said, I just stopped, after about a month of treatment, I stopped and went back to being androgynous, And she said to me, her exact words, and I used them in the book, actually. I might use it in the preface of the book. She said, Lee, it's New York City. Nobody cares. Go for it. And the next day I did. I woke up the next morning. I'm going to be Lee He.
And that
was it. That was that simple for me, because everybody says, oh, you're so courageous. No, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to accept that. I'm not courageous. I just woke up one morning and decided to be me for once. You know what I mean? I didn't have to change anything, the way I dressed or anything. I always dressed androgynously, so it didn't, So, I mean, I just woke up and Hal, that day, it felt so good.
Yeah.
To walk down the street and just be the guy I always was meant to be. You know what I mean? Yes. I lost you again, but there you go. I got you back again. I don't know, my screen keeps timing out. But at least I'm not getting the sequoia trees like Patty got. At least there's no sequoia trees. Remember when Patty was having a problem with her laptop on her Substack when she kept getting sequoia trees coming up and asked if everybody could see them?
Was that recently?
Oh, that was last year sometime. Yeah.
Okay.
They kept going to the screensaver, so I think I'm just getting a blank screen.
Yeah. I do love her work. And you mentioned earlier that, I think the immediacy and the lack of filter is really what's inspired me to do these.
Oh, totally.
Where we don't have to put anybody on. Your lighting can be what it is.
Yeah.
Right, getting the window lighting.
Yeah, you can go out without having to put a face on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
and just be real. And both her and Jessie are just so normal, for want of a better word, and humble. It's funny. I was just having this conversation with Colette last night. There was a certain male singer that came into my friend's store when I was working there. She has a metaphysical store in the West Village. Yeah. I posted about it elsewhere, Stick, Stone and Bone on Christopher. And this, I don't know. I will call him a one-hit wonder, but he has had a few things, but he's really got one song everybody knows him by. Uh-huh. And when he came into the store, it was like he had a little posse with him that were like looking at him like the Messiah. Ah. And if he said something, they were like, and when he was checking out at the counter, he said, the other night I had this chord sequence come to me. And they were like,
hanging on his every word, right?
And he said, please play it for us. And I said, I was thinking, please don't start singing it, because it's probably a Beatles song. You know what I mean? And I don't want to blow your bubble and say that was done in the 1960s, But I just thought, boy, he's like a poor man's Boy George to me, But I knew Boy George, and he was the coolest person, is the coolest person. He's one of these people you can sit down and talk to and you feel like you've known them all your life. Oh, it's like the old gossip, he gossips about everybody, But this guy, so we were talking about that, and I just said, that's why I love Patty, because she is nothing like that, She is very underplayed, Yeah. I remember I walked into the antiquarian book fair with her a couple of years ago, and we're both walking in. This woman comes up to us both and said, are you here for the forum meeting or the book fair? To us both. And she said, oh, I'm here for the forum meeting. And I was like, I thought it'd have been me. I just said, do you know who I am? You know what I mean? But no, she just said, I'm here for the forum meeting, and went to the side. You know what I mean? No airs and graces, no, I'm here for the forum meeting. Just, I'm here for the forum meeting. I'm a panel member. That's all she said. I'm a panel member.
Lovely.
Like, and whereas that other person would have said, I am, da 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 da. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can imagine. And
there are quite a few, thank God, people like that in the music business. It's not all divas, and whatever the male version of diva is.
Yeah, I found that to be true as well. I've got a few people from the music business and as guests, and I hope to. I've got to. Thanks for reminding me. I've got to get up with David Gantz soon, who's like the host of the Hour. So and there's a lot of people I ought to follow back up with. I had a really lovely conversation with this woman who fronts a Dead cover band called the Deadbeats, and she's also in Brown Eyed Women. She's a drummer, and just a lovely catch up. And it didn't record. We were using Zoom,
Oh no!
I'm Zoom, and I can't find the recording. And I'm like, "What the heck happened?" I thought I hit record. Yeah. I'm sure I hit record, but sometimes that happens. I'm sure it's probably my fault, and it's definitely not her fault because I was the one who's supposed to be recording it.
I've done that at concerts before. Great recording, and then realized that it wasn't recording.
We've got a little AI assistant going on though, so we got a nice summary of our chat. So I know the thing. Good. Back to her. Yeah, that was Denise Perron, by the way. She's up in upstate New York, and I guess somewhere near the Bearsville Theater, wherever. I think she's in Woodstock, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, and she's just had some she went to the bathroom one night and twisted the wrong way, ended up throwing discs in her lumbar area.
Oh, no.
And had to have surgery and, through all this stuff. And it's just amazing what can happen to the human body.
Oh, I know. Especially as you get older.
Yeah.
You don't even have a good war story. It's like, how did you hurt your arm? Oh, I was reaching for the remote control on the sofa. Actually, I hurt my wrist once trying to plug in a charger to my phone using one hand instead of holding the phone. I kind of maneuvered it and tried to put it in without. I was too lazy to get, or maybe actually I think I had Rico in my hand, and so I had one hand with a bird and the other hand, and so I was just trying to twist it in, and I was like, it took weeks to heal.
Weeks, yeah, and maybe the peptides could have helped with that, right?
It probably could have, yeah. I could have used the 57.
I'm thinking about having them done for my shoulder because I reached for a cereal bowl one day. I was over on this side and I did something to the shoulder. But I'm doing okay with hauling the dishes and doing all that stuff.
Colette was actually saying this morning she got me to order her some BPC and TB 500 because her shoulder's bothering her again,
Yep.
So it does definitely help. It helped with my ankle injury that I'd had for the longest time, I had to wear a wrap on it, It still bothers. Like yesterday, I did a lot of walking. I don't know where you following my antics on Substack.
I haven't followed.
In the morning, I went to the Maplethorpe exhibition.
Oh, right.
Which was on 10th Avenue. Mm-hmm. I'm on 3rd Avenue. It's on 10th Avenue and 24th Street. So I'm on 3rd and 18th. It's on 10th and 24th, but it doesn't sound too terrible. But the avenues the higher up the avenues, the longer they get. So it's like about a 40-minute walk. And because you're going from east side to west. I was up at Chelsea Piers because I was on the phone and I wasn't paying attention to where I was. Before I knew it, I'm looking at Chelsea Piers and I'm thinking, shit, this is 11th Avenue. I have to go back now and round the corner and go up. So I went there and back in the morning, or just early afternoon, and then I came back, had a 30-minute nap and something to eat, and then I lost sense of time. It was like 10 after 5, and there was another exhibition that closed at 6, so I had to quickly race out, and I went to Pen and Brush on 24th, just off Park Avenue South, and I saw the women's biennial one.
And that's where you ran into the lady who's running the place?
Yes.
Yeah. Conversation. And what's going to go on there, Pen and Brush?
They've got this female biennial exhibit just now. And actually, Patty, she was telling me last night that Patty's just joined the advisory board, Okay. Her friend and Jesse's godmother owns it. It's Patty Hudson owns the gallery.
Okay.
So it's a gorgeous gallery, though, and it's really big, and they fill it. You know what I mean? When they have an exhibition, the last time that I went to an exhibition there, it was an Indian kind of themed one. I can't remember what they called it now, but it was an Indian themed one, and they had all the deities and everything, like big giant statues and multicolors and paintings and stuff. And yesterday they had huge, I don't know, like sculptures and light. They had one cool piece. It was a totally cracked mirror. It was like a mirror that was cracked everywhere, and you stood in front of it thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get a cool picture of me cracked in the mirror." But it was taking in light from all angles, so you really didn't see yourself in the mirror,
Oh, other things, other angles. Okay.
Yeah, and my friend Karen actually has an exhibit there. She's Slugshots 30 on Instagram. She does a lot of photography for Paddy. But she was in Book of Days. She has 2 pictures in Book of Days.
Cool.
Karen Scheinhardt, I think it is. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. But she has 2 pictures, one of Lenny Kaye, and I can't remember what the other one is. But so she was actually texting me today saying, "Did you guess what one was mine?" And I said, "No, you're going to have to tell me." But yeah, it's a really good exhibition. And I ended up talking it was like I said to you, without getting too personal, it was like a very strange day for me, and you kind of know the story. In the morning I had a disappointment, and I was like, "Oh, here we go again," type of thing. And I was a little downtrodden by that disappointment, but then just out of nowhere I went to this thing, and like I said, galleries are so new to me, but now I'm really starting to enjoy going to them. It's the weirdest thing. I was not a gallery person. I was a rock concert person, but not a gallery person. And then I ended up talking to these 2 women in there, and we really hit it off. And then afterwards, she gave me her card, and I realized that was one of them was the gallery manager.
Well, that's lovely.
But it was just, but it was just such a nice end to the day. It left me smiling, you know what I mean? And on a day that started off with, a disappointment,
Yep.
So it just, I guess the value in that is just how quick a day can turn around,
Yes.
You know what I mean? How your life can turn around in a good way or a bad way, and yesterday my life turned around in a good way. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah. Now, the Maplethorpe exhibit, where was that?
That is way up on 24th Street and 10th Avenue, the Gladstone Gallery.
Gladstone Gallery, okay.
It's open till the 28th of April, I believe.
All right. We've got a new exhibit down in the Phillips Collection, a couple of blocks from my place, the Moreau in the USA. And it's got a lot of artists.
Yeah.
The Moreau. There's interesting stuff. A lot of it's from the foundation in Barcelona. Have you heard that?
No, I'm so new to this art world. I can't claim to be. Just like a couple of years, I was new to the book world with the book fair. Now I go in there and everybody goes, "Oh, hi, good to see you again." Oh. And I'm like, "You remember me?" It's like,
well, that's great to belong. As a misfit too.
So, exactly. I mean, I didn't know when I felt like should I be here? I know nothing about. I don't even read. I can read, just to be clear, but I don't. I'm not a book reader. I wish I could, but I always get distracted.
Well,
I'd love to be able to read a book.
I think a lot of us have those problems. I love this book, for instance. I haven't read it ever, though, or maybe I did and I forgot. But I got some time to go. This is Killing Time by Paul Feyerabend. It was actually in German, Zeitverschwendung, which means wasting time. His memoir is called Wasting Time.
All right, and then Killing Time. I was going to show you, the only way I read books is on Kindle. And right now, the book I have on Kindle, wait, lights up. Oh, it's been so long since I've looked at it, is by one of your guests. So you're not seeing it there, but it came up. By Gabrielle. I'm reading one of her books right now. Yes. And I'm like, Our Society and Addiction or something like that.
Oh, interesting. I'll have to dig up some of her books. I haven't read anything.
That's it there.
Our Society, Addiction, something or other?
Yeah. Addiction and more. Uncovered. Yeah.
Uncovered.
Yeah.
Oh. she's very interesting. And, she was just doing some things with Harriet C., who's also from Hungary originally.
Yeah.
Now she's back in Oregon. So we haven't caught up since she got back from Oregon. But it was nice that day when you came on, and then
that was weird. I don't know how we did it, but we had like 150 people that day.
Well, that was weird, and she thinks it was
weird.
A bot infusion. We've got 17 now, which means you and me and 15 others.
Yeah,
and we know
which is normal.
It's gone.
Which is on the good side of normal. You know what I mean?
Yes, I mean I don't mind having 100 people come on.
You can't. Substack, I found, is not where you go if you're looking for likes and praise and stuff like that. You do not get instant gratification on. It took me a long time to build my Substack. A long time. I was hovering around, I don't know, maybe 30 subscribers.
Really?
And maybe 10 of them I knew. You know what I mean? And so knew me personally. And so we're subscribing just for let's support Lee. I mean, nobody's reading this stuff. You know what I mean? So, and now I'm 255. It goes to 257. I lost a couple yesterday, but it happens, I like 2 immediate unsubscribes after my gallery trips yesterday. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna. But again, you can't take that personally, And I can't so I have 255 subscribers. I'm not gonna get upset about that. You know what I mean? It's not.
Well, I get a lot more, I'm sure. My 831 should all subscribe to you, if they don't already, as far as I'm concerned, because your book Misfit is going to be quite a ride. I have a feeling. Are you doing illustration for it?
I've been derailed by this medical practice. It's
yes, that's
I know it's like a friend of mine the other week said, maybe you should put Substack on the back burner until you finish your book, but I don't want to put Substack on the back burner. You know what I mean?
No, I just
there's something about the immediacy of Substack, whether you get a whole load of likes or not. It's just an immediate, and you have people that, I think, expect something from you every week. You know what I mean? I
don't know that they're expectations. I'm probably going to disappoint a lot of people who have expectations.
Probably I create the expectations, I'm sure they're going to go about their lives quite normally without my post.
You think?
But mine are usually a rush job on a Sunday night. But I think I've done my bit this week. I don't want people to unsubscribe because I'm putting too much content out. Because I got this today and I had 2 gallery things yesterday. I think I've done enough for 1 week. Maybe that's why they unsubscribe, because they get the emails and they get all upset. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, the emails can be really I think.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's settings where you can turn that off. And
yes, or just put them to junk. You know what I mean?
When I go live and I see it's pushing emails to everybody on my subscriber list, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then it's like an invitation to unsubscribe if you want to. I'm doing 831 total subscribers now, 21 board of directors, which means they're paid subscribers.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for those. And I'm sure that there have been people coming and going. I've noticed it sort of hovers, it curved up and then it sort of plateaued.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I was at one time at 200 something for a long time before it went up. And it just sort of goes like that. And I'm like,
yeah, you can't my readership has gone up by a lot in the past year. It's gone from the single, maybe I don't know how much, maybe 7,000 or 8,000 to 18 point something, almost 19,000 views. You know what I mean?
Good.
So I mean that's for a whole year. Let's be real. It's not for a week or a post. But I'm seeing my posts pick up. My first post maybe got, if you look at them, and they maybe got 17, 18, 19, 20 views. Now they're getting 100, almost 200 views. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So at least people are looking at it, So that's,
Well,
what's that?
You saw the Harrowings podcast with the intrepid editor press to Philip Chalmers. He's responsible for that United Air Rhapsody in Blue tune that they did program.
Yeah. Wow.
The work for hire. So that's one of his claims to fame, among others. I think I showed you his book when I was doing that before. He's done this one called My Bipolar Reality. how life.
I believe he has lupus too. He was saying on the last broadcast, like a couple of months ago. He was saying he has lupus. He was saying he has lupus.
We did talk a little bit about the lupus.
Because I remember you mentioned the peptides and everything. Yeah. I mean, if he does watch this, feel free to reach out because there's definitely stuff that can help that. Definitely.
Definitely make sure that this is out there for him. That podcast has already got 64 total views, it looks like. Hasn't he got revenue any?
You're getting caught in this the circle. It gets worse from here. You're
got this little dashboard in front of me, but I don't really dig into it. Like I said, I don't do this. I do this for a feeling of loving kindness within me.
Yeah.
To radiate out to the world. And if anybody picks up on that, great. If they don't, oh well. It's out there and it's going to be in electrons.
It's hard to know what people want to hear too. It's hard to know what people. Sometimes it's nice just to tune in and hear people just going from one subject to the next. Other times you want like a destination. But I mean, I find it. I enjoy just having the pressure lifted from me and somebody else running the show. But I am having a good guest coming up. I haven't solidified it yet. Okay. But she is in the process of working on a book called I don't know. She might see this because she's in Instagram as Women of the Chelsea, I think, or something like that. I probably got that wrong, so I got to apologize in advance. But she's writing a book about the last women to live in the top of the Chelsea Hotel, the rooftop of the Chelsea Hotel, before they, took the whole thing and made it a tourist attraction, basically. I mean, it's almost $1,000, like literally a few dollars short of $1,000 for a room for the night in there now. One room, one night. $1,000. I looked for fun once. I thought, it might be fun, to spend a night in the Chelsea Hotel. Now I thought, not that much fun. I would spend $1,000,
A documentary on the Chelsea just recently. I have to dig it out.
Yeah.
Did you know the one I mean?
Yeah, there's a couple. It's funny because a friend of mine used to work at the Cecil Hotel on Skid Row in Los Angeles, the famous Cecil Hotel. They did an American Horror Story on it. They called it Hotel. It was based on the Cecil, and even the interiors were based on the Cecil. And there was there was a famous story of Elisa Lam. She was a Japanese or Chinese exchange student, and she went missing, just literally went missing. She was bipolar and she was on medication, and people think that she had a psychotic break or something like that. But the last footage of her is on YouTube, and there's all these conspiracies around what happened to her. She had done an elevator, and the door keeps opening and closing, and she's seen frantically pushing buttons and looking outside, and then goes back in again, and and tries to get the elevator to move, and it's not moving. The door just opens and closes, and she went missing, and she'd been missing for weeks, and nobody knew where she'd gone. She was a little crate because my friend Amy Price, was manager of that hotel for 12 years. Incidentally, she went to school with Colette. That's how I know her. And they've remained friends to this day. And she was a manager at the time. And she said that the girl wasn't well. She would go around the rooms and put Post-it notes with weird things written in them and stuff like that. And she would have breakdowns in the hotel lobby, So she wasn't she was a very strange person. And when she was off her meds, of course, she was acting up. But so they didn't really know, but there was a theory that one of the hotel staff were chasing her. And that's why she was running away and trying to get the elevator to move. Anyway, she'd gone missing for weeks. This is all documented, by the way. Anybody interested, they can just look up Elisa Lam, Hotel Cecil. And it's major. It's all over the place. And so what happened was, you're going to know where this is going when I say it, but some of the residents, they had the Cecil Hotel sectioned off where the long-term residents lived in the top floors and the new people lived in the bottom floors. So that they tried to keep, because there was a lot of really strange people living in there. I mean, the stories Amy has told, there is in her book, Behind the Door, is crazy. But on this one, she was missing, and people started reporting that the water was tasting strange.
Oh my God.
And so one of the maintenance men who was a friend of Amy's, Pedro, who's still a friend of hers to this day, he went up to the rooftop one day, just the maintenance on the water tanks. And he opened the water tank and she was floating inside it. She'd been there for God knows how many weeks. And so obviously people were drinking the water that her decomposing body had been floating around in. And they don't know if she was like scared by something and not being of sound mind, shall we just say. She climbed up for safety to the water tank and figured that if she went inside there, she could hide.
Yeah.
But it closed and she was trapped there, you know? And so, yeah, that's there's all these stories about how did she end up there? Did somebody take her body and put it in the water tank? Or did she indeed try and run and hide in the water tank? You know, there's a lot. And there's another story from one of the residents where this guy had this woman in his room and nobody ever saw her. But he'd left every day, smart dressed man, business suit and everything. He would not Amy had to take him to court several times to try and get the apartment cleaned. He wouldn't allow the exterminator in. The place was overrun with roaches. He wouldn't let anybody in. He refused. He even took her. She had to take him to court to get access for the exterminator. And this woman was in there. And when he'd left for work, Amy tried to do like a wellness check on her. And she knocked at the door and there was no answer. So she opened the door and the woman was hiding under the bed and naked, hiding under the bed. And Amy said, do you need help? You know? And she was like, just shaking her head, you know, like wasn't even communicating, just shaking her head. And the only time she left the room was to maybe run to the bathroom outside. But the guy had a bucket in the room so that she could use the bathroom in the bucket. She was there for like, I may get this wrong, but it was something like 40 years. This woman was trapped in that room. It was a ridiculous amount of time. It was several decades. And when the guy finally died, they found out that he died. He died in his chair. And just because they hadn't seen him, they went in and they found his dead body. And she was on the bed, covered in roaches. Her hair was all matted and everything. And they took her out on a stretcher. But it's just, that's the kind of weird people that live there. And the funny thing is, the guy that owned the Cecil later went on to buy the Chelsea. It's the same guy. So obviously he had a thing for hotels with histories. I don't know if he still owns the Chelsea, but I can't remember his name now. Maybe Stephen, I can't remember. But he, because Amy knew him, obviously. And they bought the Chelsea hotel too at one point. Well, like I said, I don't think he still owns it, but he may. But so two weird hotels and very closely connected and all the weird things. Even from the time it opened, people used to go to the Chelsea to commit suicide. They would jump off the roof. They would just like people would be walking by and they would see somebody jumping from the roof and it was like, oh, another one. You know what I mean? It was just common.
It was, yeah. Well, wow. Mind blowing.
But she did a Netflix show on it, something disappearance at the Cecil or something. And it was talking about that.
Last time I was in New York, I think was the last time I stayed in the Washington Square Hotel. Are you familiar with that one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was nice. I don't feel like it was too creepy, but
there's a weird hotel in St. Mark's Square, in St. Mark's Place. It's called St. Mark's Hotel, I think. It's that obvious. But I often wonder, has that got some kind of creepy history, you know?
Yeah, I've got to plan my next trip for when you're in New York City.
Yeah, yeah.
All around.
I mean, I'm here a lot just now. I'm still between apartments in Jersey. I was going to move to the city, but that was the letdown yesterday. That's not going to happen right away. And I was kind of hoping it would, but it's not going to happen right away. And it's going to be on terms that I'm not 100% certain I would like. But but right now, I'm definitely moving out of the apartment I have in Jersey because it's in one of those situations where it's a no-win situation. Every night now, there's a diner right below me, and every night the kids come in their cars. Like there can be up to 12 cars all pull up, and the kids come out, and sometimes there's music, and they rev their engines. Like last night, I tuned into my security camera, and I heard the music, and I heard, vroom, you know what I mean? It was just like a rocket. And if you didn't know what it was, you would think, what the heck was that? But it's their cars, and this goes on till 5 a.m. every night.
I'm sorry.
And I call the cops, but they're not going to do anything. And if they do, they come back within an hour, you know? So instead of fighting it, because I realize it's you know, when you're dealing with stuff like that, you can't win. Because number one, they're kids, you know what I mean? And they're untouchable.
Yeah.
You can't do anything. So, and if I was to go out and anything, I'd be ridiculed. You know what I mean? It's like, who is this guy? You know what I mean? So, you know, so my thing is, I'm just going to move to another apartment in the same building. So when I go back there on Friday, I'm going to see what's available, you know, at the back of the building.
Would noise canceling headphones help? My wife gets a lot of mileage out of those.
I have the TV on all night. I have the fan on 24/7. And I sometimes have something playing on YouTube. You can't, because it's like literally like a rocket. When they have those souped up engines.
Sure.
And it's like NASCAR.
Or the mufflers. Yeah.
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 So, and I mean, so, and you know, I just thought, I'm just fighting. I mean, there's nothing, it's not going to change. I can't see it. It's been going on since last year. Because when I told the super, he goes, I don't hear anything. I'm round the back. And I'm like, well, he said, his excuse was it was Ramadan. And I said, Ramadan has started last November, then in that case. And it's still going on. I don't think it's Ramadan.
Yeah.
And I was saying to Colette today, I don't know if it's connected with spring break, but even spring break didn't start last year, you know? So, yeah, I got to get out of that. So that's my first priority when I get back to Jersey City, is to just look at, and there's like another couple of apartments. I'll just move, and then that'll be an in-betweeny for me moving to the city, you know? Because I mean, there's nothing you can do when you're faced with that. You know, you call the cops and they don't. I remember I made one call to the cops, and this woman was so obnoxious on the phone with me. She kept saying, yes, sir, it's a noise complaint. I said, yeah, and I'm trying to tell her what happens every night. And she's going, what are the cross streets? And I'm saying, it's the VIP diner. It's a well-known diner. Everybody knows where it is. She goes, what are the cross streets, sir? I'm like, she wouldn't let go of the cross streets. I'm saying every cop in the neighborhood goes there. You know, just tell them it's a VIP diner. You know, it's a famous diner, you know, in Jersey City. And I'm like, if this is what I'm up against, it's like, I'm not going to win. And nobody else in the building complains because I guess they think it's part of life, you know? But it's not part of my life. No thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I am fortunate in that I have this other place that I come to on a regular basis, you know? So,
yeah. Yeah.
I just need a take me over in the other place so I don't dread going back so much.
Right.
But it's just life, right? It's the things you deal with in life, right?
Yeah.
But amazingly, many people think that it's something that you just deal with if you live in a city, you know, and you don't complain.
In DC, that's what I'm dealing with.
Do you have the same kind of thing?
I don't have too much problem because I'm like your super is in the back of the building. You said so.
Yeah.
Hear it. I'm in that situation. I'm in the back of this condo, sort of down below the alley level. So the cars ripping down, and we get a lot of these little kids on whatever these 3-wheeler things. Pouring through on the weekends. Down Connecticut Avenue to see what they can do, and they loud as hell, but the noise down here doesn't reach us. And Lynn has these noise canceling headphones, Sony's, and they block out me. That's
That's why she got them, Hal. She told you it was the motorbikes and things, but it was really you.
I'm hurt, but I love her, so it's all fun. But actually, you know what she got it for is because I like to listen.
You got to hook her up with Colette about the menopause thing, though.
That's true. I listen to King Crimson quite a bit, and she doesn't like King Crimson. Hardly anybody does, actually. That's one.
I have to admit, I couldn't name one piece of music, shall I say, because I'm not even sure I should say song by King Crimson.
Right, they're not really songs, right? They're kind of like.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, is this like a kind of Yes band or?
It's kind of Yes. They shared a drummer, you know.
Oh, okay. Well, see, I was on the right track.
Yeah, Bill Bruford was the drummer.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
The heyday of King Crimson. The only thing consistent in King Crimson is Robert Fripp. And you know, I'm always
that name. Obviously, I know. Yeah,
I'm always pulling Robert Fripp's.
He did some work with Bowie, I think, at one point.
With Bowie,
he played guitar and with some.
Heroes.
Yeah.
That's
how I became aware of him.
Yeah. Anyway, Robert Fripp. They flew him into Berlin. He did it in one take. And someone around here, I have his book I'm very fond of. It's called The Guitar Circle. Of course, I can't lay hands on it now, but it doesn't matter.
I have so many of these rock books that I just can't. The only books I'll read is if they're on Kindle and if I'm traveling in and out of the city. And I don't even, the practice is so busy that I don't even get to come to the city every day anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I don't have time, because in the morning, things start. And at a certain time of day, why even bother?
Yeah. You're already getting texts from the patients, and you've got to
and there's stuff to do, and then it's like Colette said, it just come in once a week, you know.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's helped because I have the new bird, and at least I'm not leaving him alone for like 8 hours a day. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I get them used to me at least before I start leaving him alone for gaps, you know. Yeah. But so it's worked in my favor in that respect, but. I mean, I do miss the, just coming in and out. But I was just saying to somebody the other day, I think if I hadn't gotten another bird, I'd probably just be working 24/7. Because I would just be leaving the apartment first thing in the morning to get out of there, and then coming to Colette's, and then working here all day, and then maybe having dinner here, and then leaving at night, and just literally going to Jersey to sleep, or what little sleep you can get, in a way, I don't know what would have been the best option. I think I'm probably doing the right thing, having the bird to give me some kind of sense of life. Otherwise, I would literally just be going into avoidance of what happened, and I would just be immersing myself in work, and I'd probably burn out very quickly.
Well, I'm glad you got out to those galleries yesterday when the disappointment hit. So that's really important.
Yeah, I was determined to cram them in. When Colette said she was coming back on Friday and I thought she was coming back on Sunday, I thought, oh my God, I've just got one last weekend. I got to cram this in, because I knew that the next time I'm coming back here is April 18th. So I knew they'd be closed by, at least one of them would be closed by then, the exhibition. So I wanted to cram it in. I made it work on one day, because they close on a Sunday, which is crazy. You would think a gallery would be open on a Sunday. It's the one day people generally have off, but they're both closed on a Sunday. So I had to do both on a Saturday, right. But I did
it. That's great. And we've caught up again, which is really lovely. I've been meaning to do this for a bit. I'm glad you could find some time for me. I don't know when we're going to be able to do it again, but maybe we can check in when.
Maybe we need to have like we have to go places and take people with us.
That would be
the Catherine's doing. Maybe we didn't go anywhere and take people with us today.
Yeah, that might be an idea.
But I don't. No, I mean, like I'm just saying about the not that I'm. If you're watching this, Catherine, I'm not dissing you. I'm just trying to understand what you mean by when you both go places and take us along. Oh, wait, I get it. I get it. It literally just, she means like, that's what I was thinking we should do.
Rambling record.
That's what I was thinking we should do. You should go out in DC, walking along the street at night or something, and I'll go out in New York. And we can do the broadcast from both me walking down the street in New York to somewhere, you walking down the street in DC to somewhere.
We're comparing some notes, and I get a comment by people who say, "What the hell are you doing filming me?"
Yeah, exactly. Funnily enough, I don't get that in New York. It's perfect. I was leaving a voice text for a friend of mine yesterday, and all of a sudden I stopped talking mid-sentence, and I said, I'm sorry, but I just have to stop for a second because this guy just walked by me. Is with a beard, dark glasses, long hair, some kind of Cossack type hat, and a green polka dot dress. And I'm just like, it's New York. It's like Colette said, it's New York. Nobody cares.
Right. Are you familiar with the campaign of Vermin Supreme? When you mentioned that hat, it reminded me of Vermin Supreme. Vermin Supreme runs for president regularly, and he wears a boot on his head as part of his thing. He calls himself Vermin Supreme, and he wants to give a pony to every American. So
It's like, and you get a pony, and you get a pony.
Yeah.
Like me last week, and you get an Oscar, and you get an Oscar. And
he runs these anti-campaigns against the other candidates, like Hillary Clinton is anti-pony.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I know
in some ways to have him for president than what I got at the moment. But I don't know. I could be wrong. I often am. And I just watch the passing show. Go ahead.
The mention of Cossack hat, it reminds me of the first time, I'm going to name drop again, but here we go. The first time I met Carly Simon.
Yeah.
And I got to know her quite well,
Wear a
actually.
Cossack hat?
She was wearing a big, it was December, though. It was like, I think it was actually the 21st of December, 2002, I think, or 2004. The first time I met Carly Simon. And she came into the store where I was working full time at the time, the Crystal store. And this is actually might be a roundup story. I don't know if anybody's interested in this, but I just thought this was one of those. It's almost like the crazy things that tend to happen to me with people that evolved with the other people in my life right now. But it's like I had taken on an obsession with Carly Simon. I'd bought all her CDs and everything, and I'd collected them all, and it was almost like a joke at the store, you know, about my obsession with Carly Simon. Like, and so I was collecting all the memorabilia and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that particular day, I had went to the print shop around the corner from the store, and it was an album of hers she had out at the time called the Bedroom Tapes. And it was an album she recorded when she was diagnosed with cancer, with breast cancer. And she decided to create a recording studio in her bedroom. And she came up with the songs during that time. And so I got a poster done of that day. I'm getting goosebumps even telling you this story. And Linda, the woman that owned the store, and I are working this. It was just the last open day before Christmas that I was working anyway. And we were working in the afternoon, and I remember Linda was on the phone because she'd just bought a property in New Jersey and was renting it out and was dealing with all the paperwork and everything. And so she'd been busy on the phone all day, and I'd been going back and forth to the printing place to send faxes, because in that day we were doing faxes, you know what I mean? And anyway, I'm writing somebody up, and then somebody walks in the door, and I just look up. And I look there again, and I look up again. This woman walks in. As you know, Carly Simon is tall, you know. So this tall woman walks in with this big Cossack hat, this grey Cossack hat, and this jacket that was one of those puffer jackets. Okay. But it went from neck to almost her feet. Wow! So it was like she was wearing a quilt. and I looked up. I went, oh my God. And I went to Linda. I went, Linda. And she goes, what? I goes, Linda. She goes, what is it, Lee? I said, Carly Simon. Because she had a apartment around the corner at that time on Commerce Street, which is around the corner kind of from Christopher Street. And she stays in Martha's Vineyard, but she had a second place on Commerce Street. And so I'm like losing it, you know, and because I mean all these things, I just had the poster, you know what I mean, and brought it in, and there she is. Yeah. So Linda's like, well, go and talk to her then, Lee. And I'm like, well, so I go up to her and go, hi. And then I said, and then we're talking away and about various things, and then she was so like talking of so humble, you know. Nice. And then I said to her, I said, look, I hate doing this, but I said, I actually just got a poster today. I'm wondering if you could please sign it for me. You know what I mean? So she said, of course. So she signed it and everything, you know. And I just couldn't believe that. And I've done this kind of thing several times in my life. I swear to God, when I become obsessed with something, I bring it into my life. That's how my most recent connections came about, through obsession. And I remember once, I'm not mentioning names, but you know who we're talking about. And Colette was like, you've got to stop this. All you talk about is beep, beep, beep. You know what I mean? I said, you don't understand, Colette. In order for her to come into my life, I have to be obsessed. And it happened. And then the next time, Colette and I are at a gig with a VIP pass, and we are going up to the VIP section, and I turned to Colette and I said, do you believe me now? She goes, I don't know how you do it, Lee, but
yeah,
I believe you.
I mean, we haven't really scratched much of the surface of your career as a music
Which happened the same way. Yeah.
Right.
Telling everybody I was a music journalist in London when I was writing a little music column in Scotland. And then it happened.
Yeah.
And I was standing in the office of Number One magazine, which I contributed to a lot at the time. It's kind of like a teenage floss magazine, but it was still, it was a national magazine, And I remember saying to the person I was with, who was my husband at the time, I know, it's a long story. I remember saying to him, I said, I can't believe it. I've seen this office before. I've been here before.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's something you have in common with my last guest.
Really?
Chalmers was like sure that he had been a frozen dinner in the Dahmer.
Oh, right. I caught that part. Yeah. I know it was at least Stovas or something.
Yeah, my past life was a frozen dinner. I don't.
I do think that we there's something about that.
It's a
believe until, as they say, believe until. Is it like the very fact I'm in New York is a case of that? I was going, oh yeah, I go back and forth to New York. I have a place there. Garbage, you do. You know what I mean? You rent a place every time you come over here. But I was like, oh no, I'm hardly ever here anymore in Scotland. When I went back every time, I was like, no, I'm in New York most of the time now. Just to be a real ass. But then I got the invite to come to New York for the first time, and after that, this is where I need to live. Yeah. And that was in the 80s. I got that invite, but incidentally, I did everything to make that not happen because I was so nervous. I was like, I've never flown by myself before. Oh, wow. I don't have a passport. And they were like, oh, don't worry, we'll get you an emergency passport. Every no I had, they found a yes to. So I had no way out of it. And then, like I said, the first time I flew into New York and I saw the lights, I said, this is home. This is home, And I'll do everything I can to make it home, Well,
I'm glad. I've sort of stumbled in D.C. myself, but I think it's home now. I'm going to live there. Yeah. And I do have your wonderful, Daily Provisions has mainly its places in Manhattan.
Yeah.
I've got that one.
Well, at least now I'm clear on what it is. I was thinking it was a grocery store.
No, it's definitely like a little cafe. They're famous for their egg and cheese, like an egg. And
that's harder than the job I envisioned you doing, actually. You're not just checking people out in a grocery store.
It is rapid, and we really are trying to make sure that everybody has a positive experience there, which I think is really the coolest.
I think you're good in that kind of situations, though. I can tell.
Yeah, I've been eating there since
kind of person. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It opened in August. I've been eating there since September as a regular sort of. So I knew the staff already to some extent. I've told them that I was interested in joining them, and then then when the opportunity presented itself, I just happened to run into like the regional manager for Northeast and the manager of that particular one, and said, "Hey, yeah, I am interested."
You just put this light on for a second. It's getting dark here.
I gave the application, and then I waited.
Yeah.
Then I got a chance to do did an interview and did a trail, and then I waited a month. Yeah. They hired another guy about this time a month ago, and he's come out of having.
Is he alive?
He's alive, but I think he's got most of it down. He's pretty good at helping me out. And,
I thought you meant they hired somebody and then he failed and then they hired you. He's still there. Okay.
No, he's still there, and and he's had experience doing it like a college barista kind of thing. But nothing like the level of quality that the main barista we've got right now can lay out for us. There's a lot to set up, a lot to take care of, and I kind of have to get up at 5:15 in the morning every morning, which I kind of like. I like getting up early in the morning.
It'll be easier, like I said to you last night when we were talking. Like, be easier is now that it's getting lighter in the mornings.
Yeah,
sorry, getting up when it's pitch dark. No,
I don't mind it being pitch dark either. It's 2 blocks away from my house.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like just walking down, filming the passing show in the morning, film the passing show, back to the apartment, walking very slowly because I'm tired after 7 hours.
You must be exhausted.
Yeah, it's kind of cool though because
how many days a week is it again?
Hey?
How many days a week is it again?
Well, right now I'm doing 5 days of training, and I've done the 2 of them, so I got 3 more. 5:15 or 5:15 is when I'm getting up. But 6:30 to 1:30.
Yeah,
6 hours straight.
mm-hmm.
And I could take a break, I presume, but there's never been really the opportunity on Saturday and Sunday when I was cutting my teeth.
Well, yeah. It
was supposed to start on Friday when they asked. It was funny. They asked my schedule. I said, I can't go on the 20th because I got a trip to make. And then he said, well, can you start on the 20th? It's like, just why did you bother asking me? So
yeah.
20th,
now you're playing hard to get.
Like the 21st will be great. So I did that. But I had to go to mom, she's down in Williamsburg, and it was really nice visiting her. I put a note about forgiving our parents, because they did the best they could,
Yeah.
I would not wish me as an infant on a 23-year-old, coming off of the farm in North Carolina who already had a 1.5-year-old. How the hell did they do that? They didn't know, I guess. But back then my father was thinking, well, we'll have 2 children because Eisenhower is advocating for us just to have 2 children.
It's funny. It's not Eisenhower, but it was like I was just walking past. It's somewhere, sometimes you live somewhere and you walk past places and you're totally, you're not even cognizant of their existence, and because you just walk past.
Yeah.
The other day, it was while I was on the way to the Maplethorpe exhibition. I can't remember now what street it was I was on. I'm thinking it might have been 19th Street, but it might have been 19th Street. But I was walking past and there's this townhouse. And I'd never noticed before, but it said the birthplace of Theodore Roosevelt.
Well, lovely.
And then they have an old metallic elevator kind of thing in the garden. I'm like, what is that? Like, it looks like it maybe it's going down to something. I don't know, but it has the big nameplate on it. That it was the birthplace of Theodore Roosevelt. It's like that's sometimes I'm sure DC has places like that too. That are
Oh yeah. We have some weird places, actually. There's this park dedicated to Sonny Bono down the way.
Oh, my God.
He was a friend of Sonny Bono. And so, the nameplate, my friend Jack pointed it out to me. Jack's an architect, retired. He was nearby and splits his time to left coast. Anyway, the thing says, to my, this park is dedicated to my friend, Sonny Bono. So this guy had to call it. The relationship was the most important thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much about Sonny. It was about him having Sonny Bono for a friend. It's a little triangle park. It's just
my buddy Sonny.
There's the Theodore Roosevelt thing is near and dear to my heart, though, because my wife works for the Theodore Roosevelt.
I'll take a picture of it next time I walk past.
Hey?
I'll take a picture of it next time I walk past.
Oh, right. Well, the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership is a nonprofit, so we'll plug them. They need all the help they can get. They protect.
I don't know if it's a place you can go into, or is it just somewhere you view from a distance? I'm not sure. You know what I mean?
Oh, the birthplace?
Yeah.
Probably view from a distance, I would bet, with a nameplate like that. But I don't know. Maybe they make it into a museum. I've got the Woodrow Wilson.
Yeah, it might be. It might well be. Yeah. There's an exhibit I keep meaning to go to in the Jewish Heritage Center off Union Square, I think it is. Oh. They have the Anne Frank exhibition has been there for quite some time. And I think they've held it over due to the demand. I think it's still open there. It's one of those things I keep meaning to go to. I must try and go to that because they recreate the whole place that she was living in,
Oh.
Because it was an exhibition in, I'm just going to say where she lived because I can't for the life of me. Can you fill in that part? Yes, it was in Amsterdam, but they recreated the Amsterdam Museum in the one in the city. So it's a recreation of what they have. It's not the real stuff, but it's a recreation of it,
I've only been once to the Holocaust Museum we have here, but have you ever tried that or seen that?
I've been to Auschwitz.
Oh, Auschwitz. Well, that's
I've been to the place where Auschwitz was when I was a teenager.
Now, I was supposed to go to Dachau, but it wasn't open when I was going to
Yeah,
go.
I don't think there was anything there. It was just barren. They say that nothing's ever grown there.
Yeah.
There's no flowers grow there or anything. No,
Well,
no weeds.
One of my favorite films or series of 1970s was called The Ascent of Man. At the end of it, Jacob Bronowski goes to Auschwitz and gets down on his hands and sort of pulls up the mud from a pond, and that's where the ashes of, like, I don't know how many of the Jews dumped into this pond. But it's the end of The Ascent of Man, which is kind of
right.
Generally, taking it.
And
with the idea that we are ascending and not. I don't know if he would make the same series today, but he died of a heart attack like a year after it was made, and I think it was 1973. But I was a really interesting character, though, and I find him a lot of fun to listen to. My wife hates it. He's kind of this owlish little man who wears these 1970s.
You listen to some weird stuff, Hal. I tend to side with your wife sometimes. You do listen to some weird stuff. But it's everybody's perception of weird. Anything like you would probably think me would be weird. I've been listening to animal mediums for the past 3 months. Well, not 3 months. Well, actually, 3 months.
We were talking to the medium down in Virginia Beach, right?
Yeah, and there's also a woman that I started tuning into on YouTube after Rico, where anybody that doesn't know, Rico was my previous bird. I had him for 14 years, and he died just a week before Christmas. But when he passed, I found myself drawn to these, I guess, for some kind of, you know what I mean, sign that, he's still with me in some kind of way, So I stumbled across this woman, Tammy Hendricks, no relation to Jimmy, but and she's like an animal medium, and she does broadcast every Wednesday, And so I found some things that she was saying to be quite, valid, and comforting in a way,
Was she the one who saw Rico on your head?
No, that was Trisha, who I had on my show.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get Tammy on my show because I think she's like high bracket. She's like high bracket medium, you know what I mean? I think she may be expensive there, She may want to be paid for it. I don't know. But but I mean, Trisha is amazing, Trisha said that to me, he's there. He doesn't know he's dead, He just thinks he feels better,
Well, so, yeah. There's a lot of relief, I think, in the transition.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we don't know how, I mean, it's just like there has to be something beyond what we are living in,
Nothing to fear, that's for sure.
No, I don't think so. I mean, like I've always said, that we're more than just organs and bones and blood, because otherwise we'd all be exactly the same. You know what I mean? We'd all be little replica bots, because we'd all be composed of the same thing. We wouldn't have anything that made us us, And it's that part that makes us us that I believe goes. I'm not a religious person, so I'm not going to say heaven or anything, but I do think there's some other transitory place that we go to, It's not like a heaven or nothing like that, but it's another dimension or something. I don't know. I'm not a huge metaphysical person, even although I spent 11 years of my life working in a metaphysical store. But I used to always be the neighbor, the skeptic.
Well, I like the skepticism too. I'm a theosophist, and I follow Horowitz quite a bit. He's also a theosophist, and basically it's like wide open. So that's pleasant. They have a magazine called Quest. I think maybe Quest, and I get that because I'm now a lifetime member because I decided I wanted to be. I want to have access to what other people who are like-minded are thinking about reading and trying to make sense out of this. Which, like I say, when I walk down the street doing the passing show, I'm perplexed. I don't get it. I don't understand, and I want to understand, but at the same time, I'm like, maybe there isn't anything really to understand here. Maybe it's just the passing show, and people are coming and going. And it needs to be documented, to my mind, for historians of the future who might pick it up and do something with it. It's a body.
I should have been doing the passing show yesterday when I came across that guy with
the dress.
With the polka dot. It wasn't even the polka dot dress. It was everything else that went with it.
I have a friend who does very similar things, and okay, I'm pretty much wide open. I'm not going to judge anybody because
honestly, it must take courage to walk down the street like that.
Right. And
you're setting yourself up as a target for any crazy person. You know what I mean? I mean, you're not the crazy person. It's the people that respond to you that might be, you know? I mean, it's like, well, you know,
I like to think that I'm not a good target for most of the people who might want to do violence because I look like I could be pretty insane myself.
I don't get bothered either, but you know, I don't know why. It's all about the way you carry yourself, I think.
Well, yeah, and if
you walk in fear, you're going to attract. It's like a dog can smell fear. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
It's like there are people that are the violent tendency can see when somebody's scared of them. You know, I think, you know.
Yeah.
Makes them a target, you know. And of course, you know, unfortunately, women are always going to be targets, you know.
That's the thing we were talking about earlier about the women in the second exhibit you were seeing at the Pen and Brush, right?
Yes. Yeah. Women's biennial. Yeah.
Biennial.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I like having female guests on. And you qualify, sort of.
Be careful, huh? Be careful.
You don't know.
Trod.
I do like giving the microphone over as much as I can.
What's that? Sorry.
I like to giving the microphone over as much as I can.
Yeah.
My female guests, you know, because honestly, after a certain point in life, too, women become relatively invisible in our society.
Yeah,
that's not right. But I don't know. Did we already talk about whether you caught the Sophie Burnham show or not? That I did.
No, I don't think we did.
We started out on talking about pronoia and the afterlife because she's her main book.
I think I caught you mentioning it to your earlier guest. Yeah,
earlier guest, right? And you got part of it. That's Thanks for putting my thoughts back together. I'm worried about my brain, but my friend Sophie is like 89. She just got back from a trip to Egypt, you know, and she just had her knee replaced. So she's doing okay for 89. I mean, a lot of times they won't even do those replacements.
A friend of mine is actually, who will probably watch this at some point, who's one of the owners of this crystal store in the village, Joe. He is actually having a hip replacement on Tuesday, I believe, and he's 84.
Good for him.
And he is got a remarkable. He tore his I think it was his quad or his knee and his quad or something a couple of Christmases ago. Ouch. And it was like it's going to take a long time to recover. And he was recovered faster than the doctors. You know, they were amazed at how quick he recovered from the surgery because he fell on his knee when it was in the snow, and he tore, you know, the quad. I think it was a quad he tore. So he had to wear like a full-on leg brace for a few months, you know, and then just gradually rehab it, you know.
Right, a leg immobilized.
So he's getting a hip replacement at 84, you know.
Good for him. I hope it goes smoothly. They get better at that. And my mother-in-law had it done when she was about the same age, about 84, 85. Mm-hmm. It held up fine until she was ready to check out, just 2 weeks shy of her 92nd birthday.
Wow. Yeah.
We got the call to come up, and we got there.
It's attitude, too. I think it's attitude, too. And somebody like Joe has a really good attitude. He's like a trooper, you know what I mean? He still works at the store, you know what I mean? He does the whole shift store on his feet. Yeah, he does the whole shift. You know, he does 7-hour shifts.
Wow.
You know?
He's an inspiration for me then.
Yeah, and he's smart. Like you guys would be able to talk about history till the cows come home. You'll say something and he'll say, "Oh yeah, that was the French Revolution and da. When so and so did so and so," and you're like, he'll just out of nowhere start pulling all this. "Oh, that was the Magna Carta," and you know, And then his theater, he invests in theater, so he's a real theater buff too. Oh, wow. He used to work for IBM. I think it was IBM he used to work for. He was one of the first guys in on the computer thing. So he's very smart. But he has the right attitude. My father had a hip replacement in his 80s, but he didn't make it. He gave up. He just gave up. Because he was told he probably realized he wasn't going to get back home after it, because he was too disabled, there was a lot of other things going on with him, it wasn't just the hip, it was his eyes and everything. It was a lot, Yeah. And I think he just checked out, when that happened to him. But he'd gone through a lot of bad health things, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't just a hip thing. He had a lot of issues in his life, But I believe with the right spirit, you can, look at these people that dancers and everything. They'll get, 2 hip replacements. You know what I mean? And get back.
I don't know if Dick Van Dyke has had anything replaced or not, but he just cracked 100 and talk about dancing.
Yeah.
He was dancing into his 90s for sure, and maybe still. I don't know. I haven't seen him recently.
I think he has quite a fitness regime or something that he does in it, not like a crazy hardcore HIIT routine, but he
it's exercise still. Yeah. He said he does it out of defiance after he turned 90. He did it first so he could keep.
It's amazing how some of these people live to be so old. It's like, I don't know about Dick Van Dyke, but I know, like Betty Davis and that, she was like a chain smoker her entire life, and and she did have the stroke, but she still carried on for years after the stroke, But she was like a chain smoker. That was in the days when people were on talk shows smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I grew up around that, and I would kind of wonder if my lungs are going to be okay. But we'll see. My father ended up, with
they recover well, lungs after a certain time off of cigarettes. They do regrow, not regrow, but they do, whatever the term is. Yeah, they can clear up, and you can be remarkably unscarred as long as you stay stopped.
Yes, I have unfortunately some scarring from a pneumonia episode many years ago.
Oh, right, yeah.
I was 33, so I've just passed the 30-year mark. So that's in the bonus round, is one of the way I call this, because, most of us have been through near-death experiences, or many of us have reached this age.
Yeah.
I've been very lucky. Not on any medications at all right now beyond the supplements I decide to take. And, I do fish oil.
That's the same for myself, but then I've got a pharmacy on call.
You do. And that's interesting.
I believe in maintenance before it happens. You know what I mean? I believe in taking care of something before it becomes a problem, And I think everybody beyond a certain age should be on a blood pressure med. It shouldn't even be
Yeah,
because that's something that we don't even know, and it's damaging your kidneys. It's not just, and that's what happened to Tina Turner. That's what caused Tina Turner's death.
Yeah.
It was high blood pressure. That went untreated.
Kidney failure.
She went on the meds originally. She didn't like them. She probably went on the wrong one and didn't bother trying any others. I tried ACE inhibitors and ARBs, and every one of them gave me that weird, like, postnasal drip cough that was very debilitating. So I can't live like this, coughing like this every day. You know what I mean? Right. So then I went on a calcium channel blocker, and I've been fine since. She went on that, and she gave up on that, and she decided to go holistic, and she went to see this doctor in Switzerland who gave her herbs and everything, and of course they weren't doing anything. Then she had the stroke because of the high blood pressure, which can lead to a stroke, and then the doctor told her, "Why aren't you on blood pressure medicine?" And she said that she didn't like taking it. And he was like, "Oh, guess what? You're going to like taking it from now on. Otherwise, you're going to die,
Yeah.
So eventually that led to her, she'd done so much damage to her kidneys at that point. And then she had a kidney transplant from her husband, and then she was in pretty poor health at the end of her life. She couldn't sing, or, she was like, she was having difficulty with her mobility. And it's sad, really, because she was so amazing, Tina Turner.
She was.
She was like a firehouse, right from, I saw her a couple of times in concert. She was like amazing,
Yeah, quite a performer. I mean,
it's quite a loss, really. You know what I mean? An unavoidable loss. But then again, how long could she live anyway? You know what I mean? Like 100-year-old Tina Turner, not Bush City limits. Look at Eartha Kitt. I think she lived a good long life. She's another great one, Eartha Kitt.
That's why Wavy Gravy ran nobody for president, because nobody lives forever.
Yeah.
Nobody. They had several assassination attempts to prove that nobody.
Well, as Freddie Mercury said, "Who wants to live forever?"
Yeah, no, I don't know. People do. I mean, the whole longevity thing that
we're definitely going to see people living. And there's this new supplement that's becoming big. I'm going to get it wrong. I was talking to Colette about it, but I always transpose my letters and my numbers. So it's something like MNN, but it could quite possibly be NMN, or it could be MN. I don't know. It's a combination of those letters. And the Kardashians have been talking about it. So when that happens, you know what I mean? Everybody's going to want some. Because they did a biological age test, and Kim got that she was in her 30s or something, and she attributed it to this compound that they're now saying half of Hollywood are using, and that's why everybody's looking younger. So I think it's it's I don't know, NMN or MNN.
NMN supplement. The best NAD supplements for 2026ers. And the best NMN supplements, anti-aging support. Okay, there we go. This is from fortune.com. It's an article. And
it's going to be big business, that stuff.
I can. There we go.
It's going to be big business.
Yeah. And
we sell a lot of NAD.
Yeah. And this is related to that, apparently. Yeah, it's raising NAD plus.
Yeah.
Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide levels. The right supplement may just what you're looking for. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not taking them yet, but I am taking turkey tail and I'm taking lion's mane.
What do you think of the lion's mane?
Eh?
What do you think of the lion's mane?
Well,
it's like getting one that's actually potent.
Eh?
It's like getting one that's actually potent, the lion's mane.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them, they don't have what they say they have on the label, or it's not pure. Right. There's a lot of.
I went with Fantastic Fungi, and Gaia Herbs is the first one I went with, but yeah, it's debatable. I don't know. And they're not doing me any harm, and the mushrooms are actually, you can buy them in the market too. So. It's supposed to taste like, and they do taste a lot like lobster when you do lion's mane, and saute it up.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty good if you like that flavor.
Yeah.
Turkey tail I've never tried to cook. And it's kind of like that stuff that comes out of the wood, and like shell.
Yeah.
And but that's supposed to be good for the immune system and cancer in particular. But I'm not, as far as I know, have any cancer yet.
Yeah, I was just printing out a sheet today for us on all the peptides we do. Oh my God, it's so tiny, even with these glasses. But they're so crazy. I don't know how I thought this was going to help me. It's like, I didn't even follow the lines. I think I'll stick with a spreadsheet on Excel, but this was like, I'll just print it out. It's like,
you need that on like a big poster.
The most popular ones are Impamorelin and Semarelin. That's another one of these longevity ones. C-Max and Semarelin. That's another one that's popular for energy and focus. Okay. And then you've got those are the weight loss ones. And then GHKCU is good for hair and joints and skin. A lot of women are taking that, and guys. Epitalon is supposed to lengthen the telomeres in the DNA.
That'd be nice.
I mean, and then of course there's a BP157 that is, an NAD.
Right. That increases
and
the
oxytocin,
shoulders and joints.
Yeah. And then of course they're bringing retatrutide, which we've been selling for a long time now. They're bringing it to the market. They're hoping the end of this year or the beginning of next year. And that's going to be the new big weight loss drug, because the weight loss on that is even greater than tirzepatide or semaglutide, which is Mounjaro, Zepbound, or the semaglutide Ozempic and Wegovy. Wegovy and Ozempic are so old school now. They're just like, they're trying to revive it by bringing out a stronger Wegovy. But really, that semaglutide, the ship has sailed. I mean, tirzepatide is the new one that everybody wants. And of course, retatrutide, I keep calling it glutide because it seems to fit the sequence. And retatrutide is the big thing that's going to really change the weight loss drug market.
Yeah,
I've talked to people who are only taking 1 milligram. This woman I talked to last week said she was only doing 1 milligram and she lost 20 pounds. 1 milligram. One. You're talking about an Ozempic dose is 2.5 milligrams, the lowest dose. And with Zepbound or Mounjaro, people start at 2.5, but they go up to as high as 15. And this is 1 milligram. And she didn't want to take more because she was a former bodybuilder, so she didn't want to lose, the muscle that she had. So she was just being very careful with it. And she was only taking 1 milligram, and she lost, she said she had to stop because she was losing too much weight.
Wow.
I mean, it's, and then there's, of course, that new stuff that everybody's talking about too, the methyl blue. And that's,
blue?
Yeah, methylene blue. That's weird stuff, that. Yeah, I don't know. I came across it. I've got some of the troches, they call them. Troches, so you put them between their buccal, cavity.
Yeah.
And let them dissolve.
And
there was one in a little wrapper there, and it looked like it was old, so I went to put it in the garbage. And just touching it, my fingers were blue for the rest of the day. And I'm thinking, what's that doing to the inside of you?
It's what you used to use to dye histological samples, if I remember correctly.
Really?
Lab.
Yeah, there's weird shit like that, and people are taking it now, and I don't know if that's necessarily safe. It's like in the bodybuilding world years ago, there was a substance called DNP. One of the big bodybuilding writers at the time, Dan Duchesne, was a great champion of it. He was the first one with the balls. You could say with the balls to try it, or was stupid enough to try it. But you could look at it two different ways. But it's this compound called DNP, and it became a hard to get drug on the bodybuilding circuit, and because it made you lose weight so quickly. And it literally shredded you. It turned up your body temperature, which was very dangerous. Because if you were out running with that, taking this stuff, and it was actually a chemical used in photo production, and they found that the people that were working in the labs were losing weight, and they attributed it to this chemical DNP, and it became so toxic and unsafe that even the steroid dealers stopped selling it because they didn't want the responsibility.
Yeah, there's
it turned your hands orange. If you came in contact with the stuff, your hands turned orange. And they would stay that way for a couple of days.
Yeah, interesting. It basically is D4 dinitrophenol, which phenol. It's a highly dangerous illicit metabolic stimulant used for rapid weight loss by uncoupling oxidative phosphorylation, which burns fat but generates extreme heat.
It does. That's the danger, because
yellow crystalline powder
going out there not knowing what they're doing, putting sweatsuits on and running in California or something on Venice Beach or whatever, and it's pouring, but their body temperature was going up beyond 104,
right?
Which, as you know, is literally on the edge of death. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The compound is yellow crystalline solid. Okay, and it says that misuse carries a high risk of fatal hyperthermia.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But, the bodybuilding market is such that everybody wanted to get their hands on it at one time. And Dan Duchesne was the champion of it. He was the first one to write a book on it. His experimentation with it. It's funny, I know his wife. He's dead now, surprise, surprise. But I know his wife is she's still a bodybuilder, but not, competing or anything. But she's involved more in the boxing world now because her husband's in the boxing world. But Yeah, she was married to him for many years, but she was a British bodybuilder. But yeah, Dan Duchesne wrote the famous book, The Underground Steroid Handbook, and it was the gospel of bodybuilders for many years, because he experimented personally with all the drugs and wrote real life stories about what they did, you know. So
yeah, there are safer weight loss alternatives that it's listed.
yes.
You gotta pull all this stuff up.
Like stay out of the kitchen, maybe.
Yeah, but the severe side effects include sublethal doses. Users are reporting profuse sweating, extreme fatigue, skin rashes, and permanent damage such as cataracts, heart failure,
and brain damage. When your temperature goes to 104, you can get brain damage.
Yeah, definitely.
That's when you call the ambulance if your temperature goes over 103, you know?
Crazy. I think I would be terrified if I took something like that. And
so that's it. The mentality of sports people is they don't care, you know?
Well, I've heard that, you know, I mean, Lance Armstrong stands out as a prime example of this, you know, and all the things he was doing.
Take whatever it is to get the edge.
Achieved and got that edge to do the Tour de France. When, you know, it was claimed, oh, you know, he's not doing any doping. And it turned out
mainly an athlete who isn't really, you know what I mean? It's just some are smarter in their use and know when to get off the drugs, and then there are drugs that mask them when you're doing a urine test. And to be honest, most of the you know, I know from the bodybuilding point of view, most of the drug tests, they did a drug tested Mr. Olympia one year, and everybody complained because they want to see freaks, and they pay to see freaks, and you're not giving them freaks. It's like, you know, at the Robert Mapplethorpe, I guess we'll have to wrap up soon. I think we're approaching 2 hours.
We're getting to the 2 hour mark.
And just to wrap up then, the Robert Mapplethorpe exhibition yesterday, there were a couple of pictures of Lisa Lyons, and she was one of the first female bodybuilders back in the day, and Robert Mapplethorpe became infatuated with her for a while, but then she kind of went crazy, you know, is the best way to describe it. And even he couldn't tolerate her anymore, because I don't know, I think she was using different substances as well, and I think she had bipolar, I'm not sure, but she was using different substances. Lisa Lyon.
Yeah, just passed in 2023, September.
Yeah, she was one of the first pioneers of women's bodybuilding, and she was a muse of Robert Mapplethorpe's for many years. And there were a couple of pictures of her, but when you look at her body compared to the bodies of the female bodybuilders today, I mean, if you pull up a picture of Lisa Lyon right now in her heyday with her bikini on or whatever, and then you Google current Miss Olympia and you look at the difference, and it's like, that is not exercise. You know, what you're looking at now is extreme. You know, and some part of me wishes it had stayed in the Rachel McLeish, Lisa Lyon kind of mode, because it just became more and more and more, and more and more and more meant more and more drugs. You know, to the point where a lot of these women now are taking more testosterone than it takes to change your gender. You know. And as a result, they're masculinizing their features. You're seeing square jaws. You're looking at basically, dare I say, men in bikinis, you know? And that's some people even call into question their sex, because, you know, that's like, is that a man, or is that, you know, there's been a lot of things like that. I mean, it's kind of rude when it is a female, you know, but it's just like maybe a sign that you've taken it too far when people are making jokes, you know what I mean? But you just need to compare where women's bodybuilding is now to where it was in the 70s. And the people now wouldn't even pass muster in a bikini contest. The bodybuilding champions of the 70s wouldn't even win a bikini contest now, you know? Because things have gotten so extreme that even people doing bikini contests are taking drugs, you know? They're taking, strangely enough, they're taking anti-estrogens, which isn't a bikini contest supposed to be about femininity. And yet they're destroying the estrogen in their body, which is what makes them feminine, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was funny seeing her yesterday in the pictures, and then looking at her body compared to the bodies of female bodybuilders, even in the 90s, you know, started in the 90s, really. And you just see it over the decades. It's gotten more and more extreme. To now, you know, you're seeing 200-pound women up on stage, you know?
Wow.
It's just, you know, it's crazy. I don't know what to say. It's one of the reasons I got out, you know, because it was no longer healthy. It was no longer a healthy sport. When people are dropping dead before contests in their 20s and 30s, you know, it's like, what are you doing? You know, I know people that have died in their 30s, you know, in bodybuilding.
Yeah, and what's the drive? I mean, I guess the extreme, all of the extremes that the human beings drive themselves to have something to do. I'm not even
It's like 5 minutes of fame. It's like five. And the funny thing is, people can't leave that buzz of being on stage behind. You know,
making yourself special, I guess.
Yeah,
making yourself different than, and therefore significant.
I wrote an article for the bodybuilding press years ago called "Women and Steroids: The Androgynous Zone." You know, and I started it off by giving a dosage but before I was even in that direction, given a dosage for somebody who was changing gender, and then given a dosage for an average female bodybuilder, and it was like so much more. You know, it's like at 0.5 of a cc of testosterone every week or every 2 weeks is given to a woman to transition. These female bodybuilders were taking grams of it, you know, every week, you know. I mean, you're not even a male at that point. You're a super male. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I've seen some of these women with testosterone levels over 5,000, and that when their blood work is done, over 5,000. And the normal woman is under, I think it's normal for like under 80. So for a woman. And you're talking about 5,000. That's where Charlie Sheen was when he was acting crazy, along with the cocaine he was doing, of course. But he had his testosterone levels tested, and it was over, I think it was over 4,000 or over 5,000 when he was at the height of his craziness. Because he just thought he could do anything between the testosterone and the cocaine, you know? Not a good combo. You're creating Superman with the will to do anything, you know?
Yeah.
But that was when he was at his most destructive, when he was taking massive doses of, you know, drugs and steroids, you know?
Yep.
But yeah, it's and it alters. I often, you know, the thing is, and in that article I said, what happens to the it was more focusing on women, because men are men regardless. You know what I mean? They're regardless of their testosterone level, they're not changing the way they look in terms of their masculinity. You know, women are changing the way they look. And I was saying, you know, when you're immersed in that world, and the people that you're friends with and the people you meet when you go out are all in that world, you don't see how you look to the outside world. You think you're normal. And I said, what happens to the woman who leaves bodybuilding behind and is left with all these like permanent masculinizations? How do they fit back into, dare I say, normal life? You know, it's something that, and a lot of them don't. That's the thing. The sad thing is, a lot of them have gone to the extreme where they can't, so they stay. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, should I go out there where I feel all lonely and persecuted, or should I stay here where I feel accepted and worshipped? You know what I mean?
Well, that's it, right? The need to.
And that's what it's about. I know women. I did an interview. She sadly passed now, and she actually created a big stink about me doing this interview, and she asked me to do it, but she was arrested for prostitution. Well, a female bodybuilder, a Canadian female bodybuilder, and she begged me to do an interview with her to put her story out, you know, about how it all happened. She was caught by a cop. A cop showed up as one of the guys paying her, and he obviously, when the minute she accepted the money he gave her, he arrested her, you know? Wow. So it was a big stink in the bodybuilding world, you know, so-and-so was arrested for prostitution, and she had to go to court and everything. And I wrote her side of the story, which I'm not sure I believe, but I did what I said. But then after that, she was like begging me to take it down, because now then anytime anybody was Googling her, all they were finding was her story about her arrest for prostitution. But it's like, it's not my, she went to great lengths to get that removed from the internet, you know. But I'm saying, you know, and she never spoke to me again. It was so ridiculous. I was saying, you were the one that begged me to write it, you know. And I was always in the bodybuilding world, the one that was after a story, like I did with Sally McNeil that was arrested for killing her husband. That to me was more interesting than what you eat, how you train, you know what I mean? I always wanted to know the person behind it. What motivates you to do this,
Right.
What draws you into this weird sport? And it's, to me, it's not even a sport. It's a hobby, because who are you competing against? It really is a subjective sport. Any panel of judges could come up with a different winner on the same day, change the judging panel and you'll get a different winner, maybe, unless there's one standout, it's it's all subjective, and it's like any other industry. It's who kisses enough asses, you know what I mean? Who endears themselves to the judging panel by whatever means necessary. You know what I mean? And so it can be about that too. So really, what are you competing with? I did three contests, and that was it. I just wanted to, for me, it was more about proving I was over anorexia, It was like from anorexic to bodybuilder, and I garnered a lot of national press about that too. I did my own publicity. It was so ridiculous because even on stage, I was like 80 pounds or something, but I was a bodybuilder. But I mean, but to me, I did it for that reason. I was never going to win any contests or be in a, and I never took drugs back then or anything like that, yeah, it's a weird sport, but I guess that's another podcast.
It is probably, and it's really an interesting one, because what drives people to want to do this themselves? I mean, I don't really know the answers to that. You seem to have more of an insight into it, but I do think
for over 30 years.
I do think overall primate behavior is very interesting, because it has a lot to do with our socialization and how we are arranging ourselves in our pecking order, and what we do to stand out. And a lot of it, I think, is driven by those immortality projects I talked about before.
Yeah.
We're knowing that we're mortal. We are striving constantly to do something exceptional to try to make
be remembered, to leave a footprint.
Worthwhile. Yeah. And just to feel like we matter. When in
the thing is, people who did it years ago are remembered. It's like Colette is still known as the female bodybuilder and still has massive following as the female bodybuilder. But people that are competing in the last 10 years, I couldn't tell you who Miss Olympia is right now. You know what I mean? I couldn't tell you who Mr. Olympia is right now.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like, because the turnover is so fast now. Back when people like Colette were competing, it was hard to get a pro card. Now they're giving them out. Like, that was the reason a lot of the older competitors left, because they were so disgusted by all these young kids, their first show getting a pro card. When, like, I used to know this bodybuilder in the UK, Paula Birkinshaw. She was like one of the biggest bodybuilders back then. She was like a beast. And she still is pretty built, but nothing like in her competitive days. And she said that when she became a pro, you had to win not only your class, your weight class, but you had to win the overall as well. So you would have a lightweight competing against a heavyweight. Now you just need to win your weight class. And sometimes you get an honorary participation pro card. If you did well done, here's a pro card. But now it's so easy to get, because they want people to pay for the pro cards, because you get a pro card, but you have to pay every year to keep that pro card. It's like, I don't know how much it is. It used to be $200. I'm sure it's $400 now. But you have to pay to maintain that pro card. So it's always a constant stream of money. So as an organization, any bodybuilding organization wants to keep the dollars coming in, So the more pros, the more money, But it's relatively easy now to get, and it's almost like disgusting in a way. You see somebody do their first show, they win their class because maybe that day there wasn't a great turnout. They become a pro, and then all of a sudden they're coaching people. You know what I mean? It's like, that was your first show and now you're a coach. It's almost disgusting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you can't stand by and watch that, So it's most of the people that were in it before. Luckily, there's people that had brains and they got out and they were able to move on with their life. And other people are still stuck there. They're still stuck there because they don't know any other way to make money.
Well, right. It's the commodification of the whole thing. You become a
Yeah.
product. And
unfortunately, they don't, I'm not saying they're stupid, but they don't have the education or the time has slipped by them. So they don't have the age in their favor for starting all over again, So that it's easier just to stay where you are and be a hero to the young ones. You know what I mean? Because you're a figurehead for the young bodybuilders just coming into the sport, because your name still carries weight, even although you were Miss Olympia in 1987. You know what I mean? Your name still carries weight. Whereas if you were Miss Olympia in 2010, you probably don't carry as much weight.
Yep.
Because the title doesn't mean as much, But anyway, we'll get sidetracked again.
And it's interesting to reflect upon it, and that people can change their lives. I think that was one of the things about how do you adapt to the changing world around you, and how do you take the risk of transforming yourself into something other than what you were when you started
out. I will say that about Colette. She could quite happily have stayed in the bodybuilding world and just made money off of what we call schmoes. People that are willing to pay for her time,
Right.
To be with her, or have her flex or something for them, or to go to shows and,
Instead,
get sponsorships or...
Yeah.
You could have easily been caught in that. She still gets fan mail, So, and I'm always the one that steps in and said, she is a doctor now. I will tell you the honest truth. She still gets people writing to the medical website.
Yeah.
And I delete and block these people right away, saying, I wonder if you could this literally happened. I wonder if you could make a video for me of you ripping off your t-shirt. Or another guy, I've been looking everywhere for the video that I remember of you in latex on a bed. Could you please send me the link for it? And I'm like, F-O. Block. Gone. I want to answer them by saying, this was years ago. She's moved on, in major ways,
That was probably the right call, for sure.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job of protecting her reputation now as a medical professional in a field where people are being helped. And I think that's the real message we want to get across.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something that she always wanted to do, but the fame and the allure of bodybuilding took her to the side for a few years. Otherwise, she would have been a fully fledged MD, but probably, But she was involved with another bodybuilder, and they were known as the bodybuilding it couple, And so it was easy just to get caught in that whole world.
Yeah, sure.
Because that was your world. And then, but it's like me. I could say, I was involved in the bodybuilding world as a writer for way too many years, But by the same token, if I hadn't been, I wouldn't be where I am now. I wouldn't know Colette. Right. I wouldn't be in New York. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I wouldn't have done 2 TV shows. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, I can't really say I wasted my life in bodybuilding.
No, everything tends towards the greater good is one of the ways I look at all of our trajectories. Yeah. I've been doing what I think of more of as a careen than a career, but yeah. And now I'm going to be careening around the dining room starting early tomorrow morning. So
so you're going to go to bed soon.
Yeah, I'm going to turn in pretty soon, I think, and see how Lynn's doing out there. But thank you for your time again. I really appreciate it. Longer than we expected, I bet.
Much longer. Does this beat your longest podcast ever?
No, you haven't quite got there yet. Skip Healy.
Really? Oh my God.
If you want to try again, we can try to beat Skip Healy's record. But make sure that you empty the bladder before you start.
Yeah, exactly. But I think we should do that at some point, though. Not empty our bladders, but go out. But go out on the street.
Yeah, let's
you
do that.
In DC and me in New York next time I'm here.
I was doing
this weekend I'll be back in Jersey, and nobody wants to see walking around Jersey.
Oh, why not? You got to document that too. It
is like really transforming. I will say that about Journal Square, but there's a music venue opening up there.
Oh, good. Now,
right across from the path train.
thing about this work that we're doing here is it is for the future. It's for, somebody's going to pick this up and think, I never knew that before. And I certainly think the window you give on the bodybuilding community on all kinds of information that's available, particularly from Colette's practice, I mean, it's cool stuff, and people need to know about it. So amplifying that signal through the noise is what Harrowings is all about here.
I think you should probably have her on our own so that she could talk about peptides better, because she's the one that knows about peptides. I just sell them. I'm not going to remember all these names, Hal, and what they do.
Well, you find your time. You can manage her better than anybody I know.
Yeah. I'll get her on your show, but you may be faced with her having a whole outline of where she wants the show to go, like she does with our show.
Fine.
Like, this is what I want us to talk about.
We did do it once already. You know that, right? So
yeah.
Let's bring it back.
You let her go freewheeling before, but now she's very much like, this is what I want to talk about. This is what I want to cover. This is what I want you to ask me. And I'm like, Clint, it's my show.
Nothing wrong with that. No. The guest is always right.
But the last one we did ad-lib. We did ad-lib the last one. So
all right.
We didn't stick to the questions.
Well, I hope things go good with Origin when you meet up with her next week.
Yes. I'm looking forward to that Thursday. Yeah.
I'll find out more about it on Friday.
Yeah. Take all care. Right, I'll let you get ready for bed now. I got to figure out dinner now, too. And Pico's in the semi-darkness over there. So.
All right.
Well, all right, Hal. Great talking to you.
Later. And thanks for showed up.
Bye.
We're out here.